Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So if you go back and you look at the video, is actually called "The Right is Actually Winning the Cultural War." And I explained to you how this war is going to be fought, and it was a response to one of my subscribers, Eric Smith. Thank you very much. I appreciate your input. Keep inputting. I appreciate it. About how do we fight an ideology. I laid it out. I used some stuff from Sun Tzu, some stuff from Machiavelli, and go back and watch that video. It's a really good video. And it's going to explain why this next series of videos I'm doing is so important. I'm going to break each thing down video by video. Today, we have parents against CRT, critical race theory. Actually, we have parents against, it's not just CRT. See, they say CRT, it's not just CRT. We have parents against the Democratic Socialist Party's implementation and what they're doing to the schools. Now, those Democratic Socialists also come in the form of the National School Board Association. So without further ado, let me pull up this video for you.
It's taking root from coast to coast. Even San Francisco's Democratic Mayor, London Breed, said yesterday that she is supporting the recall of city school board members. New York Post columnist Carol Markowitz joins us now. Carol, thanks for being here. I just want to read to you from what Mayor Breed said. She said, sadly, our school board's priorities have often been severely misplaced. During such a difficult time, the decisions we make for our children will have long-term impacts, which is why it is so important to have leadership that will tackle these challenges head on. Our kids must come first. What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, you know, the Democrats have spent a week calling parents racist who had any problems with their schools. And, you know, the problems with the schools extend far beyond just CRT. I think the Loudoun County issue has almost nothing to do with CRT. Like, sure, they're concerned about CRT practices in their schools, but it was about a covered up sexual assault. It was about not taking parents seriously. It had a lot of different aspects that had nothing to do with CRT. So I think we're going to see this across the country. I think parents have woken up. They realize what's happening in their schools. They had a really close view for the last, year plus when the kids were home. And I think that we're going to be seeing this kind of tumultuous activity at school boards all across the country.
Yeah, but Carol, one of the big points, one of the big points you make is that the teachers union was calling not all the shots, but a lot of them, were they not?
Yeah. Well, that's really it. The other thing that really is, doesn't get mentioned quite as often as it should, is that schools were just straight up closed in areas where teachers unions had a lot of control. There was no science behind it. It was like Randy Weingarten and other teachers unions said they should close. These weak politicians agreed with them, and parents are mad. They're angry about what's been done to their kids. They're absolutely right. And, again, we're going to see this in many places where schools were closed for over a year, which is in blue cities, predominantly, that are controlled by teachers unions.
Fox and Friends had these two moms on, they're Moms for Liberty co-founders talking about the overall issue. Watch them here.
Parents are paying attention to elections and getting involved, and this is just the beginning of parents' voices being heard in their children's education in our country.
Parents are ready to reclaim their parental rights, especially at the level of education. We're seeing that across America.
Carol, so you're right at the New York Post. I follow Michelle Goldberg's work. She's at the New York Times. She's a liberal columnist. One of the things she wrote about yesterday is that Democrats better wake up because parents across the country are serious. And from her perspective, she said they want to dismantle the public school system.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll leave it there. It's actually a very good interview. But this is a very important part of what I was saying about our allies. The allies that we have in this fight against the Democratic Nazi Party. Because remember, the Nazi Party was just the Nazi Socialist Party, the Democrats. I'm not making this up. You could go fact check me. They actually have a wing of the Democrat Party that's called the Democrat Socialist Party. They're using the Nazi playbook, but they're doing it badly. They're doing it badly. If Hitler was this horrible or this bad at what he did, we'd have saved thousands of lives, tens of thousands of lives, maybe hundreds of thousands of lives. Because what they're doing now, they've angered parents. And parents are pushing against the same people that us conservatives are pushing against. They're not going to vote Democrat. They're de facto conservatives now because they don't want you messing with their kids. See, they've gone and woken up the mama bears. They've gone and woken up the mama bears. And then what do? They call the mama bears racist, even though some of them are Black, some of them are men, some of them are Asian, Hispanics. It doesn't matter. They call them white supremacists. When your enemy is making a mistake, don't interrupt them. And they're bringing so many forces to bear on them. It's honestly ridiculous. So also updating the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. This is going to tie back into our Second Amendment people, right? And if you have somebody who's pro-gun, Second Amendment, send this video to them, share it with them. I don't care if you have to email it to them, message it to them, because they're the next up. They're very important. Because with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial verdict, we did have some protests. San Francisco, now when I name these cities, I want you to think about what all they have in common. San Francisco, Portland, Chicago, Los Angeles. I just said Second Amendment. I'm gonna give you a second. That's right. They have some of the worst gun laws in the nation. Portland is excluded from that. I actually understand their gun laws are very decent, but they've been on fire for 2.5, 3 years, so they know nothing's going to happen. They have a few things in lockstep. They've defunded their police departments. They have the strictest gun laws in the nation. And now look, stores being broken into, people are going to be burned, beat in the streets, and they have no legal means to defend themselves. So, but we have a coming together. And that's what I say in the other video. Please go watch it. We have a coming together and we're fighting on all these fronts. I wish there was some kind of national way to take the leaders of all these different areas we're fighting in. The people who are fighting against inflation, our Second Amendment people. Everything is racist backlash that's going on. Council culture, get some of these stars in here who are against council culture. The vaccine mandates, which that's probably going to be my next up because people are protesting about that. Lockdown protests. There's people all over the world fighting against that. The parents against CRT and the BLM counter protesters. Now notice, with this Rittenhouse verdict, like I said, they're only protesting. I predicted this. They're only protesting in cities where there are horrible gun laws, where they know you can't protect yourself. They know in LA, if they break in if 50 of them come to your house, that's why also you need not a 30-round magazine, you need a 100-round mag. Actually, it's called a drum. You need a 100-round drum because they show up 35, 40, 50. You don't want to have to reload. But in cities like LA, you can't do that. That's why they want your magazine capacity limited to 7, 10. They want it low. So their mobs, the Democrat Socialist Party's mob, the new Nazis, the new wannabe Nazis, they're not even good Nazis, to be honest with you. They really kind of suck at it. So they can overwhelm you with pure people. But you know what? As far as that goes, I told this story in an earlier video, but it's been a while, so I'll retell it. When I got ready to leave for the Army and I was going out in the world, my mother, very tough woman. She does not shit around at all. So I was telling the ex-wife the 3 pieces of advice my mother gave me when I left for home. If you get into a fight with a bunch of people, shoot the first one, the rest to back up off you. These crazy people these days, I don't think she could have predicted this. They don't necessarily. They're insane. 2, if you get in a fight with a bunch of people and you go down, come up shooting. And 3, never leave home without your pistol. And I've taken that still to this day. God bless my dear mama. But no, so we're coming together. the battle's being won. The battle's been fought on multiple fronts. We have allies. We have allies who, think about this, right? We have allies who a year ago would not have voted Republican. You see the Virginia elections? And I think it was Georgia, complete sweep. Just insane numbers. Well, what do they expect? See, they're defeating themselves, and I say, hey, let's keep fighting our fight and let them keep pushing forward. This reminds me of when Hitler went into Russia. It's like, yeah, go ahead, dude. See how that works for you. Even Russians don't want to be in Russia. But like, subscribe, share, and as always, so next I'm gonna cover probably the lockdown protests because they're nationwide. So I want to get that one a real good scrub. I may be putting up a video later on tonight with special guests, Vanessa and Randall. You've met them before. They've been on my show before. They're scheduled to be on tonight. We'll see. They're very busy. You know, they have young kids and stuff. So my kid's grown. She's almost 80. But but like, subscribe, share, and as always, do what you got to do.